Yes.
Wow, that was fantastic.
Spectacular.
So the vessel that I guess that you sailed from Disney, or that was owned by Disney, you took it from what point to what point?
From Trinidad to Tobago.
And how far would that be? What is that?
Well, it was an overnight sail.
Overnight voyage.
Okay.
Because you were going against the current nearly all the time. Trinidad is more or less at the mouth of the river Orinoco coming out of Venezuela. So whereas most of the northern islands all have beautiful clear water, Trinidad has all the muddy water thrown out from Venezuela.
From the river.
With all that rush of water coming out, there's a tremendous current coming northwards from Trinidad. So although there is a passage, or there are several passages between Trinidad and Venezuela, there's a really strong current coming north. One day we came back from Grenada, we got back to Trinidad about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we started tacking to try and get through this narrow gap. And it took us all day. We didn't finally get through until about 7 o'clock at night. We had no engine in Manana for the first 2 years. And basically the old square-rigged ships, to get to Port of Spain, they had to go right round Trinidad and come up from the south. So that made Trinidad a very safe place from enemy ships, because enemy ships couldn't come down from the north. They had to go all the way around. They'd be sighted, and then there'd be signals sent up to the enemies approaching from the south.
And one time we were coming back in, and it was most uncanny. John was asleep down below. It was night. And I was at the helm, and I noticed a freighter or something coming in. And so I tacked, because he was coming straight on collision course. And then he altered course, and he followed me. So I tacked again, and he altered course again. By the time that happened the third time, I said, "Hi, John, you better come up." So we tried shining a light on our sails. I mean, we had riding lights at the side, which obviously they hadn't seen. We tried shining lights on the sails, and there's still no reaction at all. So finally, we had a very strong flashlight, which we shone directly on their boat. And eventually, they altered course, and we realized that they were waiting till dawn to see their way more easily through the entrance to the channel, the same as we had been waiting. But it was a horrible feeling. Each time I tacked, you know, this wretched thing came chasing after me.
Maybe they thought your lights were land.
Something like that.
Could be.
I think they just hadn't seen us, you know, a great big ship, and here's this little tiny boat that's about the size of it.
We had no electricity on board, so we had kerosene riding lights each night, so they weren't very bright.
How big was the manana?
30 feet.
30 feet? A catch? What sloop?
Cutter.
Cutter.
With two head sails.
Jib and a staysail, so that changed it from being a sloop to a cutter.
Because Sarah's just 16, and my question, I guess, would be, how did you find yourselves in such a beautiful area? Very young, I think, the two of you.
We met there.
Okay, and you had a young child, boy, and what were you doing? I mean, how were you living, making a living? Who was working, or
Both
just?
of us were.
We'd gone independently and both looking for work, found work there, and Sheila was getting fed up with some of the local people.
I had a student, a girl who had been a student with me, who was Trinidadian. And she wanted to get married, and her sister wanted to study the same type of creative modern dance and dance therapy that I had done, and which was also being used in the convent school as their main physical training, physical exercise. And so I went out on a 2-year contract. And while I was staying with this friend, another friend came to the house and said, "How did I like Trinidad?" I said, "Oh, the island's fascinating. It's a very interesting mixture of different racial types and so on. The scenery was beautiful. I really would like to learn sailing, and I am bored stiff with the young men to whom I have been introduced. all they can talk about is oil drilling or spearfishing. So this friend said, oh, well, she was having a birthday party and she'd invite some eligible young men. So I was talking to a couple at this birthday party, and they said, what did I like to do for my vacations? I said, well, I'd always climbed mountains, but now I would like to do some sailing. They said, oh, well, there's a guy over there who's building a sailing boat. Why don't you go and talk to him? So he was worth talking to as far as I was concerned, because he might take me sailing. And the only reason he thought I might be worth talking, getting to know a bit better, was that I knew the Latin names for trees. And he told me that his first boat was called Betula, and I said, oh, was it made out of birch or something? So that, and then the next day he took me to a friend who had just finished building a catamaran, and they handed me a piece of rope, and I knew how to whip the end, so I was obviously worth cultivating as far as John was concerned.
I remember how she shot you.
So a year later we got married, and then we went...
Excuse me.
Yeah, yes, went and met our in-laws for the first time. And while we were over there, we bought all the different fittings that we needed to build Mignon.
Wonderful. It's a wonderful story.
And the frames had to be not too close together, because by then I was pregnant and I had to be able to get up and down between the frames.
Neat story.
So our son was on board from the time he was 2 weeks old.
He
Neat.
learned to swim before.
Yeah.
Very neat.
He was about 3 years old when we left Trinidad, so we didn't feel like going across the Atlantic with a small 3-year-old. So we shipped the boat back to Holland, and then we sailed through the canals in Holland, Belgium, France, back to England. We kept the boat there for 2 years, 3 years.
And are you both from totally different areas, or where are you
We're both
individually?
from the UK.
Okay. But,
John is from the Isle of Wight, which is the sailing mecca in the UK, and I'm from the Scottish border.
neat.
So we would never have met if we'd stayed in the UK.
You would never have met.
Great story.
No, our paths would never have crossed.